Hey all, here at OS Reviews. A while back we checked out a pretty cool Bluetooth speaker called the MUZEN Wild Mini. It had this really retro vibe with a lot of decorative LED accents. Actually sounds quite good for the super compact size and was constructed out of a premium aluminum alloy. The issue though is it's kind of expensive. Selling north of $120, you're definitely paying a premium for the novelty of the design and the fact that, again, it just seems like something a little different from your typical speaker. Well, today we're taking a look at another model from them. Luckily, this model is a lot more affordable. It's called the MUZEN Wild Go, and you can think of it as more of a light version of the Wild Mini. Has almost similar design as well as dimensions as the previous model, except this one will be crafted out of a polycarbonate plastic, but it can be found for less than $70, which is a pretty big price difference. This thing is still rated to be IPX5, so it will be splash proof, light rain proof, and it should still survive. Actually comes in two different color variants. We have kind of the white edition here, but you can also find it in a deep sea blue edition, but both are relatively colorful, as you can see there, going for a more younger, vibrant look. Still is pretty cute, I have to say, as far as Bluetooth speakers are concerned, weighing at 187 grams and 36mm diameter driver. Now, just like before though, this is still a single driver speaker, so you're not really getting a stereo effect unless you purchase, say, two of these and then connect them to each other using the TWS mode. Last but not least, using Bluetooth 5.0, 4 watts for the amplifier, and then using Type-C for charging the 500 milliamp hour capacity battery, which is rated for a little under 10 hours of continuous music playback. Across the border of the Cosmo, so a lot of these decorative effects, this is definitely going for, again, folks that want something that is a little bit more unique in terms of the design, as far as novelty speakers are concerned, a category that we have seen a few other competitors as well recently, including, for example, the Gravistar speakers, which kind of goes after the same crowd, folks that want something a little bit more elaborate, or even something like the Divoom Ditto, one of those fun pixel art inspired Bluetooth speakers. All of these, I think, are competing in the same space of just being kind of desk gadgets, backpack gadgets, in addition to being a speaker, obviously. Just looks a little bit more interesting. And then we have just a USB Type-C charging cable, and that is pretty much it. So taking a closer look at this Wild Mini, first impressions being that even though it is made primarily out of polycarbonate plastic, it still feels better than I was expecting, has a reassuring heft to it, doesn't feel hollow or cheap, even though it is going to be lighter than the aforementioned Wild Mini from before. So here it is side by side as a contrast. I like the fact that underneath the mesh here, which is made out of metal, you can still make out the drivers, but with a slightly more distinctive shape that still makes it look interesting when shining onto the light, even though maybe it's missing some of the additional intricate accent pieces, but still preserves some of the essentials, including that dial here for changing volume. Still feels very responsive and tactile, even though it's a plastic scroll dial this time around. Top there features the power key, which is also very clicky and responsive, and then we have some additional knobs on the sides for skipping tracks, just like with the previous generation model, although the placement maybe has slightly shifted. Now, one thing that we don't get though is that LED flashlight accent, which has been stripped on this lighter, less expensive variant. The side here though offers another flap for accessing the Type-C port for charging and covering that up to prevent water from getting in. Bottom here just says Wild Go, and on the very back we have some of these specs just reiterated again. The plastic here, if you look very closely, also slightly shimmers against the light. We have a lot of these rubber accent pieces, including on the edges, so you are able to set it down like this and it can still stand upright, along with putting it down like that. A lot of different orientations. All right, so let's go ahead and turn on the speaker just by long holding for a few seconds. We still have a pretty cool animation there for the startup, at least the sound effect is distinctive. So there's like a slight difference in terms of the sound effects. Now for a quick demo of what it sounds like once paired with a phone. volume slightly lower, takeaway being that the quality of the speaker luckily is as impressive as the OG MUZEN Wild Mini, which is to say it packs much bigger sound than you would expect for something that can fit in the palm of your hand. In fact, here it is next to, say, an average smartphone these days with a 6-inch screen, so you get the idea. This thing is very small, but the sound that it can achieve is actually quite surprising. In this test here, we were only about at around 30% of the volume level, as you can see, but it can already fill up this small room space really without any issues at all. The volume level that it can achieve is actually quite shocking, I think really due to that amplifier that's built on in, and it is very clean as well, so you can hear there's no real hints of any static or hissing when the music is paused, but everything still sounds smooth as you're controlling it. It does slightly rattle and shake when you're hitting a drum beat, and lower frequency sounds really come to life. So playing back music on here is, I have to say, much better than really any built-in speaker on your phone can achieve. In fact, par on par with the aforementioned Wild Mini. They may have even used similar drivers, to be honest, in parts, just to overall share the cost of production. However, again, the difference is just in the shell design, having a metal body versus polycarbonate plastic, as well as having a few more accent pieces built on in, is driving the cost of this thing up by, again, a few extra 20-30 bucks. But again, I think this thing really is equally as cool looking from an aesthetic perspective if you're into more of this youthful, vibrant look. Great for pretty much any track or genre, whether it's pop, rock music, or even watching back some videos with. It really does get surprisingly loud, has a good depth to it. Mids and trebles also sound very clean. Plenty of details in vocals and, again, instrumentals. Maybe the only thing I would like to see would be possibly having some of these accent pieces be glow in the dark, or some area that can light up and have more LED interaction to them. I think that could be even cooler, but alas, that would probably drive up the cost, since the entire objective of this Wild Go is about making one that is more affordable. This is definitely an interesting model to consider. So you can check out more details if interested. For the most part, if you like the way that it looks, luckily the sound quality here also lives up to the impressive experience of the previous model. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the MUZEN Wild Go.